Good morning to all and welcome to the session, the Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. Today's editorial is all about the voter turnout in the second phase. Before we go to the editorial analysis, quick look at enrichment. As usual, you will improve all these areas: comprehension, give me a second, comprehension, vocabulary, a lot of words in detail, antonyms, synonyms, all these, and you will improve your grammar. Something is wrong with the stylus. Effective English, and also, excuse me, give me a second. Huh. Is everything okay now? As usual, you improve your comprehension, vocabulary, grammar, effective English, and mini mocks. Today, some important questions are there. Let us start with the question: what is this editorial about? This editorial delve into means to go deep into, to analyze or to think. Delve, that's an important word, into two main aspects: voter turnout patterns and election rhetoric, that means appeal, and particularly focusing on the second phase of a general election in India. As I said, this is all about the second phase of general elections, and there are two dimensions. One is voter turnout, the first one, and the other one is election rhetoric, campaigning. Yes, that's right. What is the tone of the editorial? The tone of the editorial is analytical and critical. On the one hand, analytical, on the other hand, critical. Let us start with editorial vocabulary. I have brought about 12 words. Each one takes a lot of time. Listen very carefully. I will do value addition. Whatever is important, I'll put a star mark. Then they are important from the exam point of view. Though we got last time turnout. Turnout, part of speech, noun. Turnout refers to the number of people who participate in an event, activity, or election. In this context, obviously, it goes with election. Synonyms: attendance, participation, presence, showing. Last time also I told you guys, you have to, this can be a noun, this can be a phrasal verb. As a phrasal verb, turnout, immediately you have to recollect two more. One is, today I'm not able to, please give me a second. One is a turnout, the other one, turn up, if you remember. And one more I told last time also, show up. What is the difference? Appear. Large number of people appear, we use turnout. One person, we use a turn up or show up. They all mean the same: appear. And attendance, participation, presence, showing, all these words you have to think of. What are the antonyms? Absence, non attendance, boycott. But boycott has a negative connotation. Example sentence: the voter turnout for the election was unexpectedly high. But in this context, unexpectedly low. Quite opposite. Tropes we have got for the first time. If you come across a new word for the first time, obviously after the session you have to spend some time. Otherwise, not possible to remember. Trope, tropes, part of speech, noun. Meaning, tropes are recurring themes, motives, or figures of speech that convey a particular concept or idea. What are the synonyms here? Figures of speech, motives, themes, conventions. Same words are repeated. Antonyms: Originality, innovation. Example, the novel is filled with literary tropes such as the hero's journey and the love triangle, adding depth to the storyline. A rhetoric we have got many a time, part of speech, noun, and meaning. Rhetoric is the art or skill of using language effectively and persuasively in speaking or writing, but generally it goes more with speaking. Synonyms, oratory, eloquence, persuasion, discourse. All these words are very important. Persuasion, simple word you don't have to remember. Discourse. Antonyms, silence, inarticulateness, and ineffectiveness. Example sentence, the politician's speech was filled with powerful rhetoric, swaying the opinions of many undecided voters. Sway means the influence in this context. Parsing. Parsing is also an important word. Parsing means what? Part of speech verb. We have already got this word. Refers to the process of analyzing a sentence or a piece of text into its grammatical components. This is a literal meaning, but in this context, analyzing something, analyzing a situation. Synonyms, as I said, analyzing, dissecting. Science students know this word dissecting, interpreting, decipher, another important word. Decipher goes with code language. Decipher the code means what? You have to make out what exactly it means. Antonyms, synthesizing, composing, constructing. Synthesizing is an important word. Compose, construct simple words. Example, students were tasked with parsing complex sentences to identify the subject, verb, and object. This goes more with you guys. When you come across a sentence, you have to parse it. Means what? You have to analyze in terms of grammatical units. But in this context, general term, analyze, analysis. Comprehensive, we have got many a time. Part of speech adjective, meaning thorough and complete in scope. Exhaustive, I have given many a time. Thorough, all encompassing, an important word. Inclusive, an important word. But usually I give one more word. What is that? Holistic. I also give the combinations. Comprehensive goes with one syllabus. You can easily remember. It also goes with a procedure, goes with a procedure, goes with a policy. Comprehensive, very important. Compel also we have got a few times, part of speech verb. What does it mean? Compel someone. Compelling has a different meaning. You have to be very careful. Here, compelling, one of the meanings, appealing, interesting, holding your attention. But compel a different meaning altogether. To force or persuade someone to do something, often by exerting pressure or authority. You force someone to do something, that means you compel someone, force. That word you have to remember, key word. Synonyms, coerce, an important word. Force, oblige, from this you get obligation, drive, urge. But urge has got a different meaning. Urge means to request. That goes more with the formal situation. To request a lot. To request a lot. Antonyms, allow, permit, discourage, dissuade. Of these words, important word is dissuade. This you have to remember. It takes a preposition from. The evidence presented in court was compelling enough to compel the jury to reach a unanimous verdict. Here, a unanimous verdict, an important expression you have to remember. Plea also you can write, very good. Here, compelling enough, appealing enough to compel, to force. See how the two words have been used here. Compelling enough. Enough is an important word. Here it is an adverb. And compel, to force. Notion, part of speech noun, meaning refers to a belief, opinion, idea, often a vague or general one. Vague means not clear, ambiguous. General idea, we say notion. Concept, idea, belief, thought, perception. Antonyms are fact, reality, certainty. Example, she had a notion that her keys were on the kitchen counter, but upon checking, they were nowhere to be found. She had an idea they were in the kitchen, but she could not find them over there. Lynch pin, an important word. I think we have got for the first time. Lynch pin. Lynching is different, lynch pin is different. Part of speech noun, meaning a linchpin is a person or thing that holds something together, acting as a central or essential element. Usually it goes with a wheel. If you take a wheel, there's a pin over here that holds the wheel together to the cart. That is known as lynch pin. If you remove that, the whole thing collapses. It means what? Important person. Synonyms, keystone, an important word. Linchpin, see a different spelling over here. Cornerstone, if you remove the cornerstone, the whole thing collapses, an important word. Mainstay, important word. Centerpiece, a simple word. Antonyms, disruptor, peripheral, non essential. The other day you got the word essential, indispensable, non essential. Example, effective communication serves as the linchpin of any successful team. For any team, effective communication serves as the linchpin, the most important thing. Recourse, another important word, part of speech noun, meaning the option or action of turning to someone or something for help. You depend on someone, you turn to someone for help, that means recourse, assistance or support, especially in times of difficulty or need. Synonyms, option, choice, remedy, solution, a resource. Antonyms, constraint, limitation, a restriction. Of these words, constraint is an important word. Example, when faced with legal troubles, her only recourse was to hire an experienced attorney. Her only recourse means her only choice was to depend on an attorney. Here we say lawyer, in the US they use the word attorney. Martial can be a noun, can be a verb. I haven't brought the meaning as a noun, I have brought the meaning as a verb. As a verb, to marshal means to arrange or assemble in order to organize or gather together. You bring a lot of people, that means you marshaled a lot of people. Synonyms, arrange, organize, assemble, gather, coordinate. All familiar words. Antonyms, disperse is an important word. Scatter also important word. Disorganize, simple word. Example, he marshaled his arguments carefully before presenting them to the committee. This is a good example. In the context of the editorial, marshalling goes with bringing people to the event, that is polling booth. But here, marshal his arguments, gather his arguments carefully before presenting them to the committee. Ploy we got last week, I suppose. Noun, a cunning plan or action designed to achieve a specific purpose, often by deceiving or outsmarting others. Either you deceive or outsmart others to achieve something. A cunning plan need not be all the time a plan to outsmart others. Synonyms, scheme, tactic. Tactic, simple word. Strategy, maneuver, an important word. You have to remember this. Ruse, another important word you have to remember. Honesty, straightforwardness, sincerity. Last time also I told you guys honesty. An honest person. His apology seemed sincere at first, but it was later revealed to be a ploy to gain sympathy. Whipup. Whip has a different meaning as a noun. It is used a leather thing to scare animals or beat animals, but whip up as a verb to incite or stimulate. Incite means a provoke, stimulate strong emotions, actions, or reactions, often through inflammatory speech or actions. You provoke someone through the speech. Above board, very good. Whip up. Usually it goes with whip up, emotions. Stir up, provoke, incite. These are important words. I'm sure many of you know the word provoke. Incite is an important word. Inflame, arouse, even these words are important. But when you look at the word insight, there's another insight you have to recollect. What is that one? I use quite often. Insight means a deep understanding of something. Provide an insight means provide a deep understanding. Antonyms: calm down, soothe, pacify. Example: the politician's inflammatory remarks only serve to whip up tensions among the crowd. Inflammatory remarks. Usually, what do? They try to stir up or incite or provoke, whip up tensions among the crowd. These are the words. Now, let us see how it starts. Turnout and tropes. Turnout, already have given the meanings, so you have to recollect. On phase two, voter turnout and election rhetoric. This is a stimulus, editorial stimulus. But what is editorial main idea? Voter turnout has been present perfect active voice. Lower in most states compared to 2019 election. Last time 2019 compared to the 19 election, this time the voter turnout has been. When you see been, don't think it is passive voice. Read the sentence. Based on the context, you have to decide. Here it is a present perfect active voice. Lawyer. Reasons are quite obvious. I have already done a few editorials. A comparative assessment of polling in the second phase of the general election on Friday for 88 seats from 13 states, union territories shows that a comparative assessment. See what happens here. This is a subject. After that, you have a phrase of polling in the second phase of the not one, two, or three phrases. General election on Friday for 88 seats from 13 state union territories. Then a comparative assessment shows that high turnout, more than 70% in the east and the northeast, Assam, Manipur, Tripura, and West Bengal, and low turnout, excuse me, high turnout, low turnout. They may ask a question based on this. Less than 60% in Bihar and Uttar Pradesh have followed earlier trends, have followed again present perfect. The turnout seems to be lower in Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, and Rajasthan too. But any parsing, here parsing means what? Analysis. Any analysis of the reason should wait for comprehensive post poll surveys. After the poll, post poll, after the poll, the surveys, we have to wait comprehensive surveys. Only then we can decide what went wrong, why the low turnout in some areas. That said, voter turnout has indeed reduced in comparison to 2019 in the first phase as well. I did one editorial last week. Last week also it was the same thing. Low voter turnout, compelling the Election Commission of India to look into whether the heat wave conditions in many states were responsible. Compelling means what? Forcing. Forcing the Election Commission of India to look into whether the heat wave conditions in many states were responsible. Because of the low voter turnout, the Chief Election Commission, the Election Commission had been forced to think what could be the reason. And one of the reasons could be heat wave conditions. That could be a factor, but one cannot rule out. That could be a factor means what? A possibility, but the chances are less. See how it has been used, I always tell. That could be a factor, but one cannot rule out the notion, the idea that voters seem to be less compelled about their choice this time in comparison to 2019. This is the opinion taken by the editorial. That could be a factor. Possibility, chances are less, But one cannot rule out. Rule out means something impossible. I'll give an example. The meeting between the management and the union is ruled out, means it is not going to happen. We cannot rule out, means again there's a possibility. For another idea, what is that? Voters seem to be less compelled, less forced about their choice this time in comparison to 2019. Considering the fact that the BJP won a comfortable majority and its highest vote share in 2019, comfortable majority in 2019, highest vote share, which party? The BJP, coinciding with the higher turnout, voter turnout. Last time the BJP had the highest vote share, it got the majority, comfortable majority, and it coincided or corresponded with higher voter turnout. A lower voter turnout this time could be a sign of worry for it. Lower turnout could be a sign. Again, possibility chances are less. How the lion's share. Even if conventionally a higher turnout has generally been a message about anti-incumbency in earlier polls before the BJP became the pole of the Indian party system. Even if, for emphasis, conventionally, traditionally, a higher turnout means what? Anti-incumbency feeling, usually, has generally been a message about anti-incumbency. Anti, you have to recollect two prefixes. One is ANTI, the other one is ANTE. Anti means what? Against. And here anti means what? Before. Incumbency, someone in power, party in power. More higher voter turnout means a sort of indication anti-incumbency. In earlier polls, before the BJP became the pole of the Indian party system, the major party, anti-incumbency in the past means against the Congress because that time the Congress was in power. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the Lynch Pin, the most important person of the BJP, and whose leadership of the party and the union government is marshaled, gathered by the party as a key campaigning tool. Today, if you look at the BJP party, which person, who does it depend on, or whom does it depend on? It depends on the Prime Minister and also the leadership of the party and the union government. The sentence talks about that. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the linchpin of the BJP, and whose leadership of the party and the union government is marshaled, gathered by the party as a key campaigning tool. They're projecting this as a key campaigning tool, had taken recourse, that means depended on, to coarse communal rhetoric. Coarse here means a rough, communal rhetoric, same thing being said, and criticizing the Congress party's manifesto. Obviously, any party at the time of elections has takes two approaches. One, it tries to talk about its own thing, the manifesto. Second, it tries to attack the opposition party's manifesto. This suggests a two-pronged ploy. Usually, parties take a two-pronged ploy to whip up the sentiments of the ardent support base of the party. The first one is what? Hindutva campaign. To whip up the sentiments of the ardent support base. Ardent means very strong support base of the party who believe in the Hindutva agenda, as I said, and to seek higher participation in voting by these sections. That is one approach. And to discredit, what is the second one? Attacking the opposition and the manifesto of the Congress party. And to discredit the Congress's studied pivot to the agenda of social justice, although it hinged on an idea of recognition made possible by a caste census. Here it talks about attacking the Congress based on the agenda of the social justice and expanded welfare through neo-Keynesian policies. Keynesian policies, it is a concept that goes with economy, macroeconomics. That means the amount spent by the government effect makes an impact on the development, employment, and also inflation. It touches all these dimensions. The Congress lost its base in the Hindi heartland, mainland, to the parties that favored mandal politics of intermediate and lower caste based mobilization and patronage since the 1990s. It talks about how the BJP could become very strong, why the Congress lost its base, and where it lost. The Congress lost its base in the Hindi heartland to the parties that favored mandal politics of intermediate and lower caste based mobilization and patronage since the 1990s. The BJP then successfully managed to upend. Upend means there are two meanings. One is to remove something from its position. To topple, you can say. These parties, by mobilizing sections of the OBCs who felt left out due to the hegemony of select intermediate caste in the Mandal parties. Hegemony means a domination of certain parties or caste groups. Besides using Hindutva to form a solid base of support. These sentences talk about what went wrong with the Congress party, how BJP could become very strong in the heartland of India. Now the Congress seeks to revive itself. Revive, we have got many a time. What does it mean? To revitalize, revive, to bring back the old glory. Now the Congress seeks to revive itself in alliance with the Mandal parties who also seek a new resurgence. Resurgence, revive, we have got many a time. Resurgence means a rebirth. These parties, they want to again get back the glory once they had. They had once. This has led the BJP and Mr. Modi to take a slandering the grand old party's manifesto. Slander means to criticize someone openly, to spoil the reputation of someone by criticizing openly. Attack. Particularly its emphasis on welfare using familiar communal tropes. It talks about the stand taken by the BJP using communal tropes, familiar communal tropes. How does the editorial end? It remains to be seen whether the electorate will be emotionally swayed. Sway, two meanings, one to move this side and that side, another one to influence. It remains to be seen whether the electorate will be emotionally swayed by this rhetoric or logically match it against its expectations of better jobs and livelihoods. This will decide the course of the election as it moves on to the next phases. Whether they go with the rhetoric or they decide on the basis of two important factors I did last time also: better jobs, employment, and livelihoods. And one more thing, last time we discussed the inflation, another factor being considered by the prospective voters. That's all about this editorial. And before I wind up the session, for mocks join at 7:30, and I'm launched two courses. First May I'm starting. One is in Telugu, bilingual. The time is 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. from May 1st. The second one, these are foundation courses for all competitive exams, especially banks and SSC. The second one, English foundation course, that is 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. This also begins on 1st May. Thank you very much.